Ladies and gentlemen, chapter 1097 of One Piece is out, and I gotta say, there is a very dark theory going around that I really hope doesn't come to fruition, but we're gonna talk about it. But before we do, please guys, if you've been enjoying my content, please hit that like button. I'd really appreciate it, and hit that subscribe button. It really means a lot. Now, I'd love to just dive into the chapter and go from the beginning to end, but we gotta talk about this, guys. We gotta talk about who is Guinea. For a while, I thought that Oda was playing us, that she's not Bonnie's mom, that she might actually be Nami's mom. You know, the fact that she was a master thief, the wiretapping thing, she ends up being in the East Blue, right? She's the commander of the East Blue, you know, at the end of this chapter. So there was evidence that I felt like she could be Nami's mom, and Oda was kind of playing us with the whole Bonnie's mom thing. But then I read a theory that really got my gears turning, right? So I saw somebody put a theory that what if when Guinea is kidnapped at the end of this chapter, what if at some point during that kidnapping, she was, by the way, disclaimer, if you are, under the age of 18, maybe not watch this part of the video, maybe fast forward 2 or 3 minutes, but what if Guinea was R-worded by a celestial dragon? Yeah, I'm not gonna say the word, it's an R word, right? What if she was that by a celestial dragon and she gave birth to Jewelry Bonnie, and Jewelry Bonnie is half celestial dragon, and then a little after that, Guinea, is disposed of, and Kuma finds this baby, Jewelry Bonnie, who is half celestial dragon, and decides to raise the baby, knowing that it was Guinea's child, and it was basically like the child they never had due to him being, apprehensive about starting a relationship with Guinea. And that would be insane. That would be a wild theory, and it would explain so much, because a part of me that was skeptical about Bonnie being her child was that, the numbers, the age doesn't add up. That would mean that Bonnie would have to be a little kid, and the age fruit, makes her older or whatever, but that wouldn't explain how intelligent she is, because when you see Bonnie, she doesn't give like little kid energy. But if we think about it, Guinea was a genius child, so maybe that also rubbed off on Bonnie. Guinea, when we see her, she seems, more mature and older than the age she actually is. So maybe that rubbed off on Bonnie. But let me know what you guys think, man, because I really don't think that she is Kuma's biological daughter at this point. I think that is almost certain. We learn in this chapter that Kuma is a pastor at a church, and even though Guinea wants to marry Kuma and start a family, Kuma deep down wants that as well, but it's just not the right thing to do in his heart because of what happened to his parents. He doesn't want to ever put Guinea through something like that. So he's willing to sacrifice basically his entire romantic life in order to just dedicate his life to helping people, helping others, and, all that good stuff. So I really don't think Guinea and Kuma were a romantic thing. I think they loved each other, but in a very brotherly, sisterly way, right? And even though they would have loved to have had a relationship, it just never happened due to the darkness that Kuma experienced as a child, and he didn't want to put her through that or risk putting her through that. But let me know what you guys think of that theory. I thought it was mind-blowing. I kind of added a few details there that weren't in the theory, but I thought it was sick. Disgusting, but it would make sense, and it would really make Kuma's backstory the darkest backstory in One Piece history, and maybe that's what Oda's going for. We'll just have to wait and see. Anyway, let's talk about this chapter, guys. In the very start, we learned that Kuma is a pastor at the age of 17. He is working at a church, the one that he started in the Sorbet Kingdom, the southern part of the Sorbet Kingdom, where it is mainly inhabited by old folk, poor people in a lot of physical pain, right? And what Kuma does is that he helps them get rid of that pain. We always knew that Kuma had this ability, but we never knew the extent to which the use of the ability would have on the user, right? Or the sacrifices that would have to be made to get rid of someone's pain. We didn't fully understand that part of the ability, but we do in this chapter. We learned that Kuma cannot just take people's pain and throw it into the atmosphere and have it, dissipate into nothingness, right? The pain has to be absorbed by someone, or it will just transfer back to the person that it came from. So what Kuma does every week is that he collects everyone's pain and then absorbs it onto himself, taking on the pain of the entire village. And the guy is goated. This guy is such a savage. It is so sad and tragic that he does this, but it is also like, Kuma's a freaking hero, man. Even pre-time skip, this guy saved the Straw Hats from an admiral. He protected the Straw Hats ship while they were gone in the 2-year time skip. Like, this guy's goated, and this flashback just makes me and everyone who reads it just love him more and more. We also see Guinea, post time skip, looking like a baddie, right? Giving me Nami vibes, Jewelry Bonnie vibes, I guess, but I see Nami, man. I totally could see her being Nami's mother, unless it's that dark theory that we talked about earlier, but we'll just have to wait and see. We also learn about the king of Sorbet Kingdom, King Beckery. He's a real piece of work. He's the true tyrant. I don't know why they were calling Kuma a tyrant. Obviously, it wasn't him. It was this guy. This guy is a real piece of work, and we learn more about him a little later. But, time skip a few more years. Guinea wants to get married to Kuma, but again, due to his dark past, his parents, everything, he doesn't think it's a good idea. But he changes the subject, and they start talking about Dragon, the freedom fighter, Monkey D. Dragon, and this guy's a badass. This guy's so cool. He's literally a superhero, and Kuma looks up to him. He's inspired by him, and he wants to do the same. He wants to help as many people as possible overseas and, travel the world and help as many people as he can, just like Dragon. And I think at this point, when Guinea calls him an idiot, that is her pretty much just giving up on the idea of a romantic relationship with Kuma. I think that's it, right? She's like, well, I tried. I love this guy, but I'd rather keep him as a friend, as a brother, than, to lose him completely, right? They've been through so much together, so even though she can't have him romantically, she will settle for, being his best friend, which is what they are, right? And that's pretty cool. I know we all want to ship them, but again, I really don't think that is the case. I don't see that happening. We get another time skip. Kuma confronts the king. The king wants to turn everybody in the south into slaves, but Kuma's just not going to let that fly. Even though on paper, I understand what the king's doing, because he wants to save money on the tribute that they pay the celestial dragons, which we learn that it is based on population. So if there is 1,000 people, that means more tribute. But if there's only, 500 people, that means half the tribute. So they are trying to cut back on the tribute by basically getting rid of the people that don't really contribute much, like the older citizens, the ones that are in a lot of pain, that can't work that hard. They don't earn as much money, so they're not really paying their share. So I get where the king is coming from, but doesn't mean it's not completely messed up and evil, and Kuma's not having it. He's like, no, these are my people. They're not going to be no slaves. This isn't, Marijoa. There ain't no slaves here. This is a free country. And he's trying to keep it that way. And he gets thrown in jail. Somehow they beat him up and throw him in jail, which I find very shocking, right? Like, how did they beat this guy up? This guy is a savage. This guy's a monster. I guess this is before he was trained, but still. He's in jail. Guinea ends up in jail with him and tells him that, look, if you want to fight the king, you're basically picking a fight with the world government. And at this point, Kuma doesn't care. He's like, I'll take them on. And soon after, Monkey D. Dragon arrives with Kuma's homie Ivankov. they have arrived and the Revolutionary Army is born. We also learned that the 3 pillars of the Revolutionary Army are in fact Dragon, Kuma, and Ivankov. I thought Guinea was going to be like the 4th pillar, but no, it's just 3 pillars. These are the strongest, the monster trio of this group. We also learned that Dragon accumulates wealth for his organization by getting a cut of the countries that he helps, right? Whenever they do a revolution in a country that's been suffering, they get a small, cut of the profits from that takeover. So that part's a little dark, and I haven't really seen a lot of people talking about that, but I guess the ends justify the means, right? Like at the end, they're doing the right thing. They're doing what they feel is right, and it is much better than whatever the Celestial Dragons and the world government are doing. I'll tell you that much. 100%. And at the end, we get another time skip. 8 more years pass, and now we are 14 years in the past of the current timeline, and we see Guinea in a certain kingdom in the East Blue, and she is excited that pretty soon they will be linking up with Kuma's squad, and they will finally get to see him, that it's been a long time, and she's very excited, very happy, and right after that, we learn that Guinea has been kidnapped. That is the last time we will probably see Guinea's smile ever again. I have a feeling the rest of this flashback is going to be very, very dark, and we'll just have to wait and see what Oda's cooking. And we see Dragon when he's told that Guinea's been captured, and his face, it's just pure despair. The way Oda drew his eyes, he's probably thinking like, man, how am I going to tell Kuma that Guinea's been captured? This guy is going to go full freaking rage mode. But we'll just have to wait and see what happens, guys. Very excited that there was no break next week. We got 1098 coming in like 5-6 days from now. Very excited. This flashback is phenomenal, and I can't wait to see what happens next. Don't forget to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I'd really appreciate it. Have a great rest of your day, guys.